Los Angeles, 2001. Sunlight dripped through the panoramic windows of the Bel Air mansion, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Inside, Serena Worthington, a woman sculpted by privilege and polished by wealth, surveyed her domain. Her husband, Richard, a titan of the tech industry, was a man of predictable routines and even more predictable affections, or lack thereof. Their marriage, a masterpiece of opulent aesthetics, was, at its core, a hollow shell. Serena, trapped in her gilded cage, yearned for something more, a connection that resonated beyond the superficiality of her existence. Serena's life was a carefully orchestrated symphony of charity galas, exclusive luncheons, and designer shopping sprees. Yet, beneath the surface of effortless elegance, a profound loneliness gnawed at her. Richard's focus was perpetually on his business empire, leaving Serena feeling like an accessory, a beautiful ornament in his perfectly curated life. She craved intellectual stimulation, emotional intimacy, and a sense of purpose beyond the endless cycle of social engagements. Into this void stepped Reverend Michael Elias, the charismatic pastor of the burgeoning Church of the Light. Elias was a magnetic figure, his sermons a potent blend of spiritual guidance and motivational speaking. He spoke of love, forgiveness, and the power of human connection, resonating deeply with Serena's yearning soul. His church was a haven for the city's elite, a place where the wealthy could seek solace and spiritual fulfillment without sacrificing their social standing. Serena found herself drawn to Elias's powerful presence. His words, delivered with a captivating blend of passion and sincerity, seemed to speak directly to her heart. She began attending services regularly, initially seeking spiritual guidance, but soon finding herself captivated by the man himself. Elias, with his warm smile and attentive gaze, made Serena feel seen, truly seen, for the first time in years. He listened to her, not just to her words, but to the unspoken emotions that lay beneath. Their connection deepened beyond the confines of the church. Chance encounters at charity events evolved into private conversations, then shared lunches, and finally clandestine meetings. The affair began subtly, a shared glance, a lingering touch, a whispered confidence. It blossomed in stolen moments, fueled by a shared sense of longing and a desire for something more profound than their current realities. Serena felt alive, awakened from the numbing routine of her life. Elias, in Serena, found a kindred spirit, someone who understood the pressures and loneliness that came with his position. Their relationship was a dangerous dance, a delicate balance between passion and discretion. They met in secluded restaurants, whispered sweet nothings in hushed tones, and exchanged coded messages through intermediaries. The thrill of secrecy added fuel to the fire, intensifying their feelings and blurring the lines between right and wrong. Serena, for the first time in her life, felt truly alive, even as a nagging sense of guilt began to creep into her consciousness. Elias, a man of God, wrestled with the moral implications of his actions, yet he found himself powerless to resist the allure of Serena's affection. Their affair, born of emotional hunger and a search for meaning, was a dangerous game played in the shadows, a secret that threatened to shatter their carefully constructed worlds. The whispers started subtly, like a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves. At first, they were mere rumors, hushed conversations in the country clubs and exclusive salons of Bel Air. A raised eyebrow, a knowing glance, a veiled comment about Serena's frequent attendance at Reverend Elias's church. But as Serena and Elias's relationship deepened, the whispers grew louder, more persistent, morphing into a chorus of speculation and judgment. Richard, oblivious at first, began to notice the change in Serena. She was more vibrant, more engaged, a spark rekindled in her eyes. He attributed it to a renewed sense of purpose, perhaps a new philanthropic endeavor. He was too consumed with his own world of high-stakes deals and corporate maneuvering to truly notice the shift in his wife's affections. His neglect had inadvertently paved the way for Elias to enter Serena's life, and now, that neglect blinded him to the truth. The church community, initially supportive of Serena's newfound devotion, began to murmur. The close relationship between the pastor and a prominent wealthy parishioner raised eyebrows. Some saw it as a spiritual mentorship, others as something far more scandalous. The church elders, concerned about the potential for scandal, cautioned Elias, reminding him of his position and the importance of maintaining his integrity. Elias, torn between his love for Serena and his duty to his congregation, struggled to reconcile his personal desires with his spiritual obligations. Serena, emboldened by her newfound love, became less cautious. She spent more time with Elias, even attending some of his speaking engagements outside of the church. She was no longer content with stolen moments. She craved public acknowledgement, a validation of her feelings. This recklessness, born of passion, further fueled the gossip mill, turning whispers into open accusations. The lies began to multiply. A tangled web of deceit spun to protect their secret. Serena lied to Richard about her whereabouts, fabricating stories of charity meetings and spa days. Elias, a man of God, found himself entangled in a web of his own making, justifying his actions as a necessary means to protect their love. The weight of these lies began to take its toll, creating a growing chasm between Serena and Richard, and between Elias and his conscience. The pressure mounted from all sides. Richard, finally alerted to the rumors, began to scrutinize Serena's behavior. He hired a private investigator, determined to uncover the truth. The church elders, increasingly alarmed by the growing scandal, demanded that Elias end the affair. Serena, feeling trapped and desperate, pleaded with Elias to leave his wife and embrace their love publicly. Elias, caught between his love for Serena, his fear of public condemnation, and his commitment to his faith, began to unravel. The whispers had become a roar, threatening to engulf them all. The truth, like a storm breaking on a sweltering day, shattered the carefully constructed facade of their lives. Richard's private investigator delivered the damning evidence, photographs of Serena and Elias in compromising positions, transcripts of their intimate conversations, and witness testimonies confirming their affair. Richard, his pride wounded and his ego bruised, confronted Serena with the evidence. The ensuing argument was explosive, a torrent of accusations, denials, and tears. Serena, cornered and desperate, confessed her love for Elias, painting Richard as an emotionally distant husband who had driven her into another man's arms. Richard, consumed by rage and betrayal, refused to listen to her justifications. He vowed to destroy her, to take everything from her, including her social standing and her financial security. Elias, facing mounting pressure from the church elders and his own conscience, finally confessed his affair to his wife Elizabeth. The revelation devastated Elizabeth, a woman who had dedicated her life to supporting her husband's ministry. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and heartbroken. The news of the affair spread like wildfire through the church community, dividing the congregation and shattering Elias's carefully cultivated image as a man of God. His sermons, once filled with inspiration and hope, were now met with skepticism and disdain. The church, once a beacon of light, was now shrouded in scandal and controversy. Serena, ostracized by her social circle and facing a bitter divorce battle, turned to Elias for comfort. But Elias, consumed by guilt and shame, was unable to provide the support she craved. He was a broken man, stripped of his authority, and facing the wrath of his scorned wife and congregation. Their clandestine meetings continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. The passion had turned into desperation, the stolen moments now filled with fear and regret. Richard, fueled by a thirst for revenge, filed for a highly publicized and acrimonious divorce. He leaked details of Serena's affair to the tabloids, painting her as a home-wrecking adulteress. The media frenzy was relentless, with paparazzi hounding Serena and Elias at every turn. Their affair, once a whispered secret, was now front-page news, fodder for public consumption. Elias, facing public condemnation and the loss of his church, spiraled into depression and despair. He began to question his faith, his purpose, and his very identity. He felt trapped, suffocated by the weight of his sins and the consequences of his actions. Serena, isolated and alone, felt abandoned by Elias, the man for whom she had risked everything. She had lost her husband, her social standing, and her sense of self. She was a pariah, a scarlet woman in the eyes of society. Desperation clawed at her, pushing her to the edge. The climax arrived with shocking finality. One stormy night, Serena, consumed by despair and driven to the brink, drove to Elias's secluded cabin in the mountains. She confronted him, demanding that he choose her, that he leave his wife and embrace their love publicly. Elias, broken and defeated, confessed his inability to do so. He confessed his fear of public condemnation, his guilt over betraying his wife and his congregation, and his inability to reconcile his love for her with his faith. He begged her to understand, to forgive him, but Serena, her heart shattered, refused to listen. A heated argument ensued, fueled by years of suppressed emotions, unspoken resentments, and the crushing weight of their impossible love. In the midst of the storm, a tragic accident occurred. Details remained murky, shrouded in conflicting accounts and whispered rumors. Some said it was a struggle, a moment of madness, fueled by desperation and despair. Others claimed it was a deliberate act, a final, desperate attempt to escape the unbearable pain. What was undeniable was the outcome. Serena Worthington, the wealthy Bel Air wife, was dead. The official cause of death was ruled a tragic accident, but whispers persisted, hinting at a darker truth. The police investigation, hampered by conflicting testimonies and the complex web of relationships, failed to provide a definitive answer. The circumstances surrounding Serena's death remained ambiguous, a haunting question mark hanging over the tragedy. Elias, devastated by Serena's death, retreated further into his shell of grief and guilt. He resigned from his position at the Church of the Light, his reputation irrevocably tarnished. He became a recluse, haunted by the memory of Serena and the weight of his sins. He sought solace in his faith, but the path to redemption was long and arduous. Richard, consumed by grief and a profound sense of loss, withdrew from public life. The divorce proceedings were quietly settled, the bitterness replaced by a quiet sorrow. He was left with the wreckage of his marriage, the ghost of Serena haunting the halls of their once opulent mansion. The emptiness echoed the hollowness of their relationship, a stark reminder of the love that had been lost and the tragedy that had ensued. The aftermath of Serena's death reverberated through the Los Angeles social scene. The whispers continued, but they were now tinged with a sense of tragedy and regret. The story of the wealthy wife and the charismatic pastor became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the destructive power of forbidden love and the devastating consequences of betrayal. The Church of the Light struggled to recover from the scandal. The congregation was divided, some loyal to Elias, others feeling betrayed by his actions. The church's reputation was damaged, its future uncertain. The tragedy had exposed the hypocrisy and moral failings that lurked beneath the surface of even the most respectable institutions. The story of Serena and Elias became a legend, a dark stain on the glittering facade of Los Angeles society. It was a story of passion and betrayal, of love and loss, of the destructive power of secrets and the tragic consequences of human weakness. It was a story that served as a reminder that even in the most privileged circles, tragedy could strike, shattering the illusion of perfection and exposing the fragility of human lives. The whispers faded with time, but the echoes of Serena's death lingered, a haunting reminder of the price of forbidden love and the devastating consequences of a life lived in the shadows. The gilded cage had become a tomb, and the man of God had become a fallen angel.